everybody. It's my honor and my pleasure to introduce our guest this weekend, Second Vice President Mark Lyon, who I've known since 2011 when I visited Connecticut for their state convention. I shared with those who were at the luncheon that the thing I remember was he handed me this binder for the weekend with all of the events. So everything was planned and programmed perfectly. So we can expect the same when you become the international president. But I'm going to read the bio. Mark S. Lyon from Brookfield, Connecticut, USA, was elected to serve as second vice president of Lions Clubs International at the association's 106th International Convention held in Melbourne, Australia from June 21st through June 25th, 2024. Prior to his retirement of March of 2024, Vice President Lyon worked in corporate legal administration and financial services with several major corporations and banks for over 40 years. As a longtime resident of Brookfield and an active volunteer in his community, church, and local government, his connection with Lions was already well established before he became a member of the Brookfield Lions Club in 1996. Since then, he has held a number of offices within the association, including International Director, Multiple District Council Chairperson, and Multiple District GLT Coordinator. He was also appointed as a member of the LCI Forward Project Team, a global action team leader, area leader, and a district governor-elect seminar group leader, and board liaison to the 2019 USA-Canada Lions USA Forum Executive Committee. Vice President Lyon has also served as a presenter, faculty, and participant at countless training events and leadership forums throughout the years. In recognition of his service, he has received multiple International President's Awards and International President's Certificates of Appreciation, as well as the International President Leadership Award. Vice President Lyon is also a recipient of the Ambassador of Goodwill Award, the highest honor the association bestows upon its members. Additionally, he has been recognized as the Connecticut Knight of the Blind and the Connecticut Ambassador for Sight, and is the recipient of a number of project and service-related certificates. In addition to his Lions activities, Vice President Lyon President Lyon has been active in numerous professional and community organizations. He has served on the board of directors of the Silver Lake Conference Center and Wide Horizon for Children. He was an associate member of the American Bar Association and past member of the Association of Legal Administrators and the Society of Corporate Secretaries and Governance Professionals and the Shareholder Service Association. Vice President Lyon is a progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. His wife, Lynn Lyon, is also a longtime Lyon and progressive Melvin Jones Fellow. They are the proud parents of 3 daughters. MD20, please give a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Vice President Mark Lyon.
Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna come down there. First, I wanted to thank you all for allowing Lyon, Lynn, and I to be here for the 101st annual Jack Weber birthday party. I think that's a great honor in and of itself, regardless of all the activities that are going around here in Niagara Falls. But to be able to celebrate with Jack and meet with all the Lions here is just tremendous. You know, we have a lot of great friends in New York. I think that's one of the great benefits we have of being from a neighboring state of Connecticut. And part of that is building our family, right? You know, Lions is one big, happy family. Well, maybe not happy all the time, but we do get along really, really well. And at the end of the day, we talk about how important it is to continue to serve as Lions as one big family. So there are many people in the room that I would like to personally thank for their friendship and their mentoring over a period of years. And I would like to start with our 2 past international presidents that are up on the dais, Al Brandell and Doug Alexander. Thank you so much for your friendship and your mentoring over the years. Also had the chance to work with past director Gary Brown. We served on the board of directors together for a few years. We got that extra COVID year. Good job, Gary. You know, standing out on the record books there. And a great cast, a great group of past international directors, and from Bob Lemon to Steve Trevoroli and Ed. Where's Ed? Ed Cordes is back there. Who else am I missing? And Jack, of course. Jack, of course. You know, great leaders. Who did I miss? I said Bob first. Bob was number one on my list there, right? That's because he's relocated north, you know, I gotta recognize that. Just a great group of leaders. MD20 should be incredibly proud of their legacy of moving Lions in through the organization, taking them to new levels, letting them lead the way they do it best. You know, our Lions organization has its own proud history, but this legacy of leadership that comes from MD20 is so important, so highly respected in the world of Lionism. So thank you all across the dais here for your service. Give them a round of applause, of course. When I was talking to our council chair, Barry, about how much time we had, and he said, how much time? He said, as much time as you want. That's dangerous. Because I've got a long list of topics I would love to talk to you about, but I'm going to be considerate of our time today. And I may go over a few points really quickly, food for thought, important considerations, things I want our district governors to think about, things I want our incoming district governors to think about, things I want all of us as members of individual Lions clubs to think about. Because I think that's where our association is right now. We need to continue to focus on the most important part of our association, and that's the clubs. We have to get back to basics in some ways, don't we? And we talk about a lot of things. Lions is a huge global organization, nearly 1.4 million members, over almost 210 countries and geographic areas around the world. It's a mammoth organization. And with a foundation to boot, right? We've got this great foundation that to date has raised and given away, I think we're close to $1.4 billion in grants in its history, in its short history. So this is no small organization. This is a massive undertaking, but it all comes down to the success of what works at the club level. Right? We talk about what's going on in the world today. The world is changing faster than we have ever seen it change before. And it's not just because we beat up on a global pandemic. We got that pretty well licked. We took care of that. It was tough. Our clubs suffered during that period of time. Many of the clubs that we visited around the world, we've heard, have not ever resurfaced. And that's a sad thing, because that means that the communities that our clubs are serving are no longer being helped by people like Lions. And so we need to make sure that we continue to bring people back out in front of their communities. We need to give them the encouragement to make a difference in their communities and to expand their service in new ways. So this organization that we're so proud to belong to continues to need to grow. And I'd be in big trouble with International President Fabrizio if I didn't mention Mission 1.5. Have you heard of that? Is that something you've heard of? No, we've never heard of that. I want to get this out of the way quick, because I want to turn to other topics. Mission 1.5 is incredibly important to our organization, and I look at it completely as a service-driven effort, because by increasing our membership, we will be able to provide more humanitarian service around the world. We need to look at it as a service-driven, purpose-driven mission to grow. We need more members in more parts of the world to provide more humanitarian service. It's as simple as that. And you know this is a real challenge for us. In the US especially, we know that we had to create a culture of change. We had to start inviting people to join our clubs again. We had to come up with new ideas for new types of clubs that would be relevant in the world that we're living in today. Very tough. We know that. But you've proven that you know how to do that. You've proven that you've accepted the challenge to change, and we're seeing that happen every day, getting better and better, stronger and stronger. But I don't want any individual Lion, any member of any club here today, any member of a district or any member of MD20 to think that Mission 1.5 and our attaining 1.5 million members is on your shoulders individually. It's not. It's not. What I do want you to be responsible for and to take back to your clubs, because it is all about the clubs, is to ask your club this year, next year, and the next year to be +3 at the end of the year. +3. Does that make more sense? Is that a manageable number for you? Can you add 3 members to your club and at the end of the year be a +3 this year and next year and the next year? If we can do that on a global basis, we won't have to be talking about membership growth and a membership initiative. We will have so many new Lions performing so many unique new acts of service. We won't have to worry about that. We will be running, our cup will be overflowing with service ideas, right? And our clubs will be overflowing with new ideas from new members, with new voices, new ways of thinking about service, and the world will be a much better place because of it. So when you hear the reference to Mission 1.5, I want you to say, yes, I can accept that mission because I can grow my club by 3 members a year. Will you do that for me? Will you accept that challenge? All right. I know we can do this. It's a big deal. Very, very important for our association, and so we want to continue to talk about that. But for now, I want to change the tone because this is a very important weekend for Lions. I want to say a special message to the Lions that are gathering in Cedar Point, Ohio for the 100th anniversary of the International Convention where Helen Keller was their special guest. Right? 100 years ago. And there's a great group of Lions gathered there. And I just want to share one of my favorite Helen Keller quotes with you because I think it truly resonates with who we are and how we feel, the passion we have as Lions. And Helen Keller said many years ago, "I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do." Isn't that amazing? This lady, so many years ago, truly spoke and understood about the vision and the purpose and the mission of Lions. And the words that she shared 100 years ago, asking those in attendance to become her Knights of the Blind in the crusade against darkness, still resonates 100 years later. Many, many people join our organization because of her inspiring words. They feel that they can accept a mission, a service, a project, an activity, because if she could do it, they could too. And no project was too big or too small for them to take on. So as we gather here in Niagara Falls, keep our brother and sister Lions in Ohio in your thoughts and hearts as we celebrate this great anniversary in Lions. You know, we do so many things that set us apart as Lions. We do unique things. We think different ways about doing certain things. And part of that we do through the camaraderie that we share, the laughter that we share. This is a fun bunch, right, Barry? Barry's taking notes. Barry's taking notes. He's not having fun now because he's taking notes. But I think we understand, our governors know that we are always doing different things, and that camaraderie and that fun, that laughter that we share with each other in the hallways, in hospitality rooms, over meals, and even during the seminars that we're going to have tomorrow, we're going to have laughter and camaraderie and share common interests about things. And that's what makes us special as Lions. That's what sets us apart as human beings that believe in this organization and believe that it's important to do what we continue to do. You know, as we look at our world, Lynn and I think that the world keeps getting smaller because our family keeps growing. You know, we keep pulling people in. We keep finding new friends. We keep making new friends and extending that hand of friendship to each other across borders. And we live in a very challenging world right now. There's a lot going on, right? Who likes to see the news every morning when they wake up? A lot of us are turning the news off. Yeah, it's not news anymore. It's things that we're not comfortable hearing. It's about change. You know, change is inevitable. Change has always happened. But in the world we live in, it's much more visible, it's much more vocal, it's much more in your face, to put it bluntly, than it ever has been before. And this has raised some concerns with a lot of Lions around the world. Lynn and I have heard it in many of our visits, both in the United States and outside of our country, listening to people react to the changes that are going on in the world. And to put it simply, there's a lot of noise out there. A lot of noise. And I think we have a unique role to play as Lions. And that role is simple. Rise above the noise. Stay above the fray. We have a job to do as Lions. We are all about humanitarian service, no matter what challenges are facing the world. So stay above that noise and continue to focus on the good work and good deeds that your Lions clubs are doing. If we can do that, we will get through any challenge that faces us as Lions. And our communities will be better off because of the great service that we'll provide. And people will run to their local Lions clubs and want to be a part of that movement because it will impact a positive change in all the world. We want to break down borders. We want to do projects that erase borders. We need to focus on the ability of our Lions to get where they need to go, to be where they need to be, to perform service that they thought unthinkable until they actually made the effort to do so. And we can do that because Lions have been beating the challenges since its very beginning. Think about these great dates in Lions history. One of the most important dates that I think in Lions history happened in 1945. Do you know what happened then? Some of you do. That's when Lions organization was invited to help write the non-governmental organization segment of the United Nations Charter. And to this day, we still have, in every way, a seat at the table at the UN. We still not only have meetings at the UN in New York, but we also go to Nairobi and Geneva and celebrate the good work that people do together. And our Lions are represented on many, many organizations within the UN structure. That is having a seat at the world table. A very, very important thing that we need to continue. Another important date, of course, we talked about it before, 1968. That's when our foundation was established. And as I mentioned, nearly $1.4 billion dollars has been raised and given away in the form of grants and disaster relief to a world in need. And of course, the most important date in Lions, write this down, Barry. 1987. That's when women were allowed to join for the first time, right? The most important date, because that changed our culture, that changed our membership, that changed the way we think, the way we lead, the way we manage our clubs. Very critical, important date, and we need to celebrate that because we need to continue to promote and advance women in Lions leadership roles, not just at the club level, just at the district level, all the way through the organization. We need to make sure that we continue to do that. That's that new voices concept, right? Remember in 2018 when PID Gary and I were just starting off on the board and we worked with our international president Gudrun Ingvedar, our first woman president from the amazing country of Iceland, right? And Gudrun started a program called New Voices. Well, New Voices was all about increasing the voice of women in Lions. And it did that. It started that chain reaction of success and bringing more women into the leadership roles in Lionism and adding more women to our club membership ranks. But it also invited other ways that we interpret New Voices. We started to think about young adults, young Lions, and just new voices, new ways of thinking, different ways of thinking. And that effort has continued to this day. Even though we don't talk about New Voices as much as a program, it is still very much alive and well in the minds of our Lions who want to focus on new ways of doing things, new ways to address the challenges that we're all facing. So when you're looking for a banner to hang over your club as a way to attract new people, use that New Voices thinking, that New Voices mentality to get those new ways of thinking, new women, young adults into our organization, because we'll all be stronger at the end of the day. quote John F. Kennedy here for a minute, because I think this puts an exclamation point on why Lions are so good at change and how important it is that we continue to take on the challenges of the world. John F. Kennedy said, "My call is not to those who belong in the past. My call is to those who believe in the future." And we as an organization, with 108 proud years of history, need more than ever to look at the future. We've got to look at ways to make our organization even more impactful on the world. I am a huge history buff. I love history. I think the roots of our association are foundational. I mean, we have to continue to focus on how important our history is as Lions. That's how we sell it. We've been around for 108 years for a reason, because our roots run deep. That's part of our DNA. It's part of who we are, that proud history. And we have to share that with new people as they come in. But we also have to know how to take that to the next step, to the next level, by growing our organization in new and different ways. Past President Brian Sheehan is infamous for saying, throw away the box. There is no box. Rip up the envelope. There is no envelope. And he's right. We have to think of new ways of doing things. We have to take advantage of what's out there today, and that includes things like technology and AI. Don't be afraid of it. If I can do it, you can do it. We're going to hear about that tomorrow. There's going to be a couple of seminars about new ways to use technology to grow our clubs, to grow our membership, to grow the exposure of Lions in our communities using technology. So please participate in those opportunities, because they're so important to allow us to absorb this culture of change that's so critical for our organization. There's only about a half a dozen more things on my list that I want to talk about, but I'm going to start wrapping things up. I read a book last year. It's not a new book. It was written about 25 years ago by a Harvard professor by the name of Robert Putnam. Robert Putnam did a study and wrote a book called Bowling Alone. Has anybody heard of that? There's a couple hands out there. Bowling Alone. Kind of a silly title, but a very important title. Because what Robert Putnam did, spoiler alert, Robert Putnam is a lion. Okay? Think of that when I tell you what he wrote about. Bowling Alone is a statistical analysis on the history of social capital, things that people do here in the States. And he started it right around, looking at a time period, right around the time when Lions was formed in 1917. And he started to look at trends. He started to look at what people do in their free time. Forget their work, forget those kind of things, but in their spare time. And he tracked things through very tumultuous times. And he could track the growth of people participating in community activities, and he saw them rise after big events. So after World War I, he saw a big rise, an increase in people taking part in community events. That could be participating in church activities, or PTOs, or bowling leagues, for example, or clubs like Lions. And he saw that. And then he saw a leveling off and a little bit of a decline. And then, sadly, World War II came along. After World War II, the same impact. He saw that rise. People were coming back to their communities, and they wanted to do more things. It was more important for them to get together for dinners, hosting dinners in your home, getting together for book clubs, doing all these things that he considers as social capital, things that build up our communities. And as we got into the 1960s, he realized that this trend was really turning south. It was going downhill. And it was happening in a more rapid pace. And he identified the fact that this is when technology started to enter our homes. This is not a knock on technology. That's part of our advancement as a society. But he recognized that as people started having televisions in their homes, our social capital started to decrease. Because now, instead of going and participating in our local bowling league or PTO or a church book Bible reading, we would be sitting at home watching television, staying away from people, isolating ourselves, right? And as technology kept advancing, it's gotten more and more obvious that we're getting more and more inward facing. We're not looking out at as much anymore. And this is a big deal, because when that happens, we start to lose our understanding of what's important in our communities. The people that we used to hang out with, we're not hanging out with anymore because we got one of these in our hands and everything I need to know is right here. You know? And we have to get away from that. We have to keep focusing on the needs of our communities, and that means engaging, getting in front of them, physically in front of them, like at a Lions Club meeting, like at any gathering of people. You know, rejoin that book club, or rejoin that bowling league. But these things are really important to understand, because there is no answer to this right now. It's only a recognition that things have changed, and things are really important for us to continue to focus on, because we know our communities still need us. We know we have to continue to develop those bonds with our own community. Putnam uses the terms bonding and bridging. Bonding is something that we do really well with Lions. We connect really well. We have these great conventions. We have learning opportunities. We get together and do these things, and that's good. But bridging is reaching out to the community and learning new ways to get together and talk about how we understand each other and make our communities even stronger. That's what we have to work on as Lions, is bridging. Connecting our association and our amazing values as Lions with other groups in our communities that are already established but need the benefits of Lions to help them to grow too. And we'll grow our membership at the same time, but mostly we'll make our communities even stronger. There's a reference that I love, and you know the visual. If you can imagine the stone thrown in the pond that creates the ripple effect, that's who we are. We need to be able to toss that stone out and see where things take us. We need to make sure that the goodness that comes from us tossing the stone into the quiet pond has an impact and touches our communities in new and deeper ways, broader scope of the service that we perform every day. We need to think about being that ripple. You can do that as Lions. You have such tremendous impact on the people that you live with in your community, the people that you work with and your employers, the people you worship with in your houses of faith. You know, there are so many ways to look at that, and we need to just make sure that we're taking advantage of those opportunities and growing in the days ahead. I want to close with a quote, because I think, again, this helps define where I see us going and how we're addressing the challenges of the day. This is just from an American business person. The quote is very interesting. It reads, "Change in ourselves and change in the world happens similarly. It comes slowly, and then all at once. What matters is your readiness for the moment of revelation, of challenge, of opportunity. We have to be prepared to walk through the door when it opens, or by our own power and purpose to open it ourselves." Lions need to have permission sometimes to open the doors. Sometimes we're not considered to be risk takers. You know, Lions we just let things happen, but we don't take on risk because that's dangerous. That could be hazardous to our health. But I'm asking you to consider taking on a little bit of risk, because I think it's worth it. If you come up against a door that's closed and you believe that there's a service activity or an organization or a group of people that need your help as Lions, then open the door. Open the door. And if you still find that door blocked by people or ways of thinking that won't allow that door to be unlocked, then by all means, kick it open. Kick it open. You've got to be able to reach into these communities and find new ways to serve, because the people are there. We know that because our world has changed so much, so we have to take advantage of new ways to address these things, these ideas, these problems that people are having that we can solve. So open the door, or even consider kicking it open. I have one more quote for you, because as we go forward, I have a lot of faith in you. I truly do. I have faith in our Lions. I have hope in our organization that we will continue to prosper and grow and provide even greater humanitarian service in the days ahead. And I can't imagine a world without Lions. Can you? I don't want to. It's too important, people. It's too important for what we do to forget and think about that kind of world. So here's the quote by Martin Luther King. We must keep going. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. Keep moving, Lions. It's too important for us in this day and age to not accept the challenge to change. We're doing a great job. We can do even more in the future. Thank you for listening today. I look forward to meeting with all of you during the rest of the weekend. Thank you so much. All right, but I'm not done yet. I have to do one more thing. Can I? Real quick? I can do whatever I want. Can I read your notes? No, I don't want to read it. No. All right. One of the unique things that we get to do is give away gifts sometimes. So Lynn, I need your help up here. I always need Lynn's help. Lynn is an amazing partner in service, and so much more. So I love to give out friendship banners to the people that cross our paths, to the people we exchange ideas with, to the people we talk about growing Lions with and through. So I do have, let me see if I can get this in the right order. We're going to start with, no, I'm not going to steal your bell and gavel. I'm just going to move it over here. But I thought about it. I did think about it. So I have three things.